A little bit of a rant video. I don't really know what's going on here. I just thought, you know what? I want to try and just post more videos regularly and a little bit more consistently. And I was like, you know what? I kind of want to do this thing where I take like these hot takes or unpopular opinions in Royal High or just in general and turn them into a video, especially since I feel like this is the perfect video idea for me because I have an unfinished video recorded that I was just like, you know what? Might as well use now because I don't think I'm going to use it for the Halloween event when it does come in town. So I was like, this is the perfect opportunity. I wanted to go ahead and see some of you guys' unpopular opinions in Royal High. I thought I did a video on this, but apparently it was just like my regrets video, which I guess can be similar to unpopular opinions. But I generally want to hear people's unpopular opinions of Royal High to see if we kind of agree, maybe even disagree. So yeah, let's just get into this. So I'm going to be reading these all from Reddit. I don't think I'm going to go anywhere else. I was thinking about Twitter as well, but I was just like, you know what? Let me just stay on Reddit because I just feel like that's where the most topic happens for me. Cherry Blossom is one of my favorites, says, even if it's inaccurate, but I do agree with the popular opinion that it should be reworked. I personally have heard this debate about the Cherry Blossom set being inaccurate and needing to be reworked, and that is true, but I don't find the set personally my favorite. I don't even think I like it that much. I don't even think I have any sets from the Cherry Blossom set. I think the only one I would ever consider getting from part of that set is the fan, but other than that, I don't really see myself caring for the set all too much, even if it does need to be reworked. Next one, this might be a little bit of a long one, so we'll see. I think that most people who have unpopular opinions don't realize how popular their opinion really is. That being said, mine is that I think Royal High is still fun gameplay wise and continues to improve, with the exception of the doll fiasco. And the people who claim it's not are blinded by nostalgia. Okay, so I definitely feel this way with Royal High. I know people are gonna have their, thoughts about this and their own opinions, but I personally feel like, in my eyes, some things that Royal High does kind of backtracks what their original plan was. I feel like the new campus is a great example of them taking 10 steps forward just to take 10 steps back. It's like, I see the vision and I see what they were trying to do for this game, but it ultimately made a lot of players even more mad because of how small and cramped and tiny the map is now, and people are still getting lagged despite all of that. So all of that was done for absolutely no reason at all. But I do feel like Royal High gameplay wise is not completely dead. There is other realms in this game that you can go to that you can still roleplay to. I like how they introduced the weekend realm where you can roleplay if you really wanted to. I do feel like this map is really tiny to roleplay, but I'm talking about before they introduced this new map. When they had the campus 4.2, I'm pretty sure, that wasn't a bad campus. I feel like that's not a bad campus to roleplay in. You have different classrooms that you can go to, you have the bathroom, and you pretty much had access to everything around the campus. So for me personally, I feel like during that time, role-playing and gameplay wise, it wasn't bad for me. I know some people are gonna have their own opinions on that, and to that I say I can agree to a certain extent. The new map definitely makes it hard for me to ever think of role-playing, especially with the automatic dragging you to classes and stuff like that. But even without all of that involved, the map is way too tiny to roleplay in for me. But some people do end up making it work. But there's, like I said, there's other maps in this game that you can go to that you can roleplay in. So it's like, it's really not that big of a deal for me. Despite the dolls being the main focus of this game now, I still feel like this game isn't completely dead, considering there's still a lot of people who play it and still enjoy it to this day. The next one says, unpopular opinion, I don't like outfits with excessive amount of items on it. I personally call them vomit fits because it feels like they vomit out all their items on that outfit. For me, it feels very messy and overly detailed to look at. Okay, for this one, I do agree because there's a lot of players who do just add a whole bunch of stuff just to be adding it. Like, I can understand if you're like trading those items out. I know a lot of people do that because they're trying to show off what they're trying to trade. I've seen a lot of people do that in trading hubs, but outside of that, that really is just annoying, especially if you're like on mobile and you spawn next to a person who just has a whole bunch of like stuff on that can really lag your game. Like, that's really annoying. It's the same thing with like vomit dorms where they just adding a whole bunch of stuff, like a whole bunch of unnecessary stuff. Like, it's one thing to make your dorms look really pretty, cute, and aesthetically pleasing, but then you have those few players who just add too much stuff outside of their dorms or too much stuff inside of their dorms that lag out the entire server. I personally can't. I try to keep my style very simple with minimalistic amount of accessories and stuff, and I just feel like that works for me personally. But yeah, I do agree. Sometimes people just be adding stuff to just be adding it, just to look like they know how to dress their character, but in reality, it's just a whole bunch of random stuff combined it together that don't even match or go well together. The next one is the Valkyrie doll is adorable. I mean, it's okay. I don't feel like I don't have any attachment to the dolls in the game. I just feel like they're cute, you know, they're okay. They're cute toys to play with. I personally don't like the $10 dolls that you get from Walmart or Target. Those little Lego ones, they look like Lego pieces to me. I personally don't like them because all the pieces, they don't stick really well. You have some pieces that will fly off. I personally bought it for my sisters, and I'm just like, you know what, they can have that. I personally cannot get down with that. But I honestly don't mind the Valkyrie doll. I just feel like it's not my cup of tea. I don't personally like playing with dolls as much anymore, so I personally don't care for them, but they're still a cute design. The next one says the Snow Swan set masculine version on the rendered model when it first came out looked masculine to me. I do agree with the fact we need the old mask bodies back, or they finally introducing scaling, but people were comparing the mask version of Swan or SS on the model looked like a feminine girl. It didn't. It looked like a skinnier dude to me. I don't even know what to say about this one. I just feel like I never really paid attention to the Snow Swan set masculine version. I do feel like it does look like a skinnier version, like of a male. I don't think it looks very buff, but I don't even think that's really an issue. I do feel like though, however, that a lot of the sets in game, or at least the newer sets, don't really have good male toggles. Like, I feel like the male demographic of this game has been excluded a lot for me personally, mainly because a lot of the dude stuff don't really look like something a dude would wear or put on their character, or they just don't really look right. They look too feminine, or just they're either too feminine or not masculine enough. So I'm just like, I'm not saying that they need to be buff with buff muscles. That's really unrealistic, but I do feel like some of the sets for me personally, the mask version doesn't even look masculine version for them. I don't know how to explain it. That's just me though. The next one is nobody is ever happy with anything, and people genuinely enjoy spreading negativity rather than appreciate the good things we do receive. Not saying there haven't been bad things, but rather we focus too much on them. Yeah, I just feel like I've gotten a lot of comments. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but I have gotten a few comments about people saying how negative I was about the game, or how I was really, you know, rude about the game or whatever. And I'm just like, I feel like I'm giving my own thoughts and opinions, and not only am I expressing my anger in a way in a more respectful tone, but I'm also giving critiques on how to make it better. I know there's a lot of people who just love to go into DMs of certain developers and just start spamming them with hateful, rude, inappropriate comments about the game and this, that, and third, and it really isn't that big of a deal. But for me personally, I love to give constructive criticism. I do say what I don't like about certain things, like with the New World High map. I do say what I do and don't like about it, but I also say what they can do to improve and how to make it better, like how to make the most out of the situation. But I don't really dwell on it. I don't really, you know, curse the developers out about it. I eventually move on and get over it, because like I said, at the end of the day, it really is just a game. And if you're having such a hard time with how the game is being portrayed now, or if you don't like certain things about it, then just don't play it, you know? And if I was truly so mean and negative about the game, I guarantee you I would not be playing this game. I don't think anybody would be playing a game that they genuinely don't like, or they hate, or they're being very negative about. It just genuinely doesn't make sense. How are you going to hate on a game, criticize it, be negative about it, hate on the developers about it, but still play it? You know, like, that's such a weird cycle. And I know some people do that, but it's a really weird cycle, because it's just like, you obviously don't find any interest in the game. You don't like the game, so why are you still playing it? but I do try to give my own thoughts and opinions on certain updates in the game and what I think they can do better on. Heavily accessorized journals look like eyesores most of the time. My eyes start hurting a lot when I look at them for more than 3 seconds. You also don't need half the catalog to make an outfit. So many of the items to your fit are unnecessary due to being completely invisible when even if they weren't there, no clipping would happen. Not matching key items in the fit and or just being near unnoticeable in the final design. Yeah, I just feel like that goes back to the whole vomit comment where it's just people just putting on stuff just to be putting on stuff. And I get sometimes, especially in Dress to Impress, I'm bringing Dress to Impress as an example here to show that there's a lot of people who do layer their clothes. And I do say, when people know how to layer their clothes correctly with their bodice or their skirt or their shoes, it does look nice, okay? It does look well thought out and put together, especially if there's not too much stuff. It's planned really well and all the colors cohesively go together along with the actual bodice or the skirt or something like that. But like I said, there's a very collective few of people in Royal High that just love to add on stuff that is very unnecessary. Like, you don't notice it for one, and two, you don't need it. It's very unnecessary to have all of that stuff on your outfit for absolutely no reason, just for not being able to see. Like, it's just too much. People be doing too much. This is why I try to keep my dorms and my outfits as simple as possible. I try to make them a little bit more interesting to look at design wise, but I'm not gonna be adding a whole bunch of stuff just to be adding a whole bunch of stuff. Like, you don't need all of that. The next one is Everfriend is so overpriced and shouldn't be 8 minutes. I don't know what that is. I actually have no idea. I think that's an event. I actually don't know. Everfriend? Is that a set or an event? I think it's a set. Yeah, it has to be a set. Everfriend is so overpriced and shouldn't be 8 million. I said 8 minutes. I'm pretty sure that's a set. I don't know what that set is. I actually have no clue. I think I should go look that up right now, but I have no clue what that set is, so I wouldn't actually know what that, I don't know. Okay, the only thing I'm seeing is the Everfriend Halo 2024. That's literally the only thing I'm seeing in accessories, at least, unless I'm missing something entirely. I'm assuming it's a set that I've never heard of, so I'm not exactly sure, so I don't know if I can really speak on that, but okay. The next one says, getting brought by a game company would not save Royal High. It says brought, but I'm assuming, okay. I do feel like this game isn't beyond saving. If this game was bought by a really good developer who knows their audience, like Dress to Impress, for example. I keep using that game as an example, but if Royal High was bought by a developer who really knows their stuff, who really knows their audience, who knows and listens to their audience or their consumers, if you will, I do feel like Royal High can be saved. A lot of people are saying how they want Wickery Cliffs back or Snow Glow Summit or just the old Royal High, and I do feel like if Royal High was bought by a new developer, they would bring back Wickery Cliffs, but like rework it in a way to make it more fresh, new, and improved, redesign. I personally am talking about Wickery Cliffs because I personally want Wickery Cliffs to come back. I do feel like Royal High can be saved by a new developer, or if it was bought by a really good company who knows their player base. The next one says Royal High is still a great game, though I am upset about the Twinkie male bodies. I can live with this, seeing as I have no desire for the Starlight set. The main problem, and I like designing female characters too. Also, the Starlight and Summer Fantasy sets are ugly. I'm sorry. You know, I feel like a year or two ago when I was actively playing Royal High and trying to farm for the Summer Fantasy set, I would have like disagreed with you on the fact that they were a little ugly. You know, they weren't really appealing. I don't think that set is ugly though. I do feel like there's certain parts of the set that I still like and still use, like the skirt and the bodice, but I personally find it hard for me to use the shoes and or the hands or the arms. It really is hard to make good outfits with those pieces for me. That's not to say that the set itself is ugly. I just feel like there's a lot of pieces that I don't care to use anymore. And then the Starlight set, same thing, where it's not, I'm using the bow as we speak. And honestly, it's not a bad set. I just don't use as much pieces and bits to it anymore. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I actually have no idea what I'm talking about anymore. I had to take a 5-minute break. The next one says, mermaid tails shouldn't have been deleted from the game. I can agree with this. Now, I've heard like spoilers about them reworking the mermaid tails and bringing them back into the game, but I don't know if that's actually gonna happen or not. I'm not exactly sure the whole background about that is. So obviously, I'm not exactly sure about the whole consensus about that is, but they shouldn't have never removed mermaid tails. But with that being said, I don't really know where you would actually use the mermaid tails in the new campus anymore, considering that the only time you get to go to the pool area is if you're teleported there for class. So I don't really know where else you would really swim at, but it would be really cool to see the reworked version of the mermaid tails, because I do still on my old account have the old mermaid tail. I think I had like a green or a purple one, so they were definitely peak back in the day. The next one says, the devs should sell the game if they don't want it to dive more than it is now. They clearly can't run a multi-million game with a bunch of dev teenagers. She needs people with experience that know what they are doing and can focus 100% on the game. Take Bloxburg, for example. I've already talked about this, but yeah, I do agree. I do feel like she needs to just sell the game, give it to someone who knows what they're doing and knows their player base, and just hope for the best at that point. The pool update is boring and annoying, plus extremely laggy. I mean, I play on computer. I don't normally play on, you know, mobile devices, so I don't really know. I don't think the pool update is bad. I don't even know if this is like a recent thing. This was like a year ago, so I don't know what kind of pool update there was, but personally, I don't have an issue with it. I think the majority of the same people have already left/quit Royal High, which is why there are so much weird racist players nowadays. I've never experienced this personally. I feel like in the chat maybe people are doing that, but I don't really focus on the chat when I'm like farming, so I personally don't know. I do feel like a lot of people have either quit or left Royal Pie already. A lot of YouTubers that I used to watch back in the day have stopped playing completely, or they're just not interested in the game anymore. I hate musical chairs. I don't know if that's unpopular, but it's the worst mini game I've played in a while. I'm sorry. The competitive edge gives me so much anxiety, and then people without lag also have the advantage. So to be honest, sometimes it's just based off luck. Worst of all, when you get the quest to be #1 in the game, just makes the experience worse. I'm sorry, y'all. I really hate the quest. Honestly, I don't even think this is an unpopular opinion. I do feel like that quest needs to be reworked. Same with the Da Vinci quest, where you need to be first top of the class, or everybody needs to guess. Like, those really are just the few quests that I genuinely hated doing. Like, I would skip the musical chairs altogether because I'm not getting first. The closest I can get is third, maybe even fourth place if it's a lucky day, but I'm not getting first place. It's just not gonna happen. And it's like, you can't play that mini game unless you're in a server full of people. So like, there's just no way. And like, you can like have a server full of friends and be like switching off between who wins and who doesn't, but like, everybody's trying to win. Like, I've seen people in the comments text like, can you guys let me win? I really need to finish this quest. Like, and it's like, everybody's trying to do the exact same thing. Why do you think everybody's here? But I genuinely hated that quest. I hated doing it. I hated having to be first place. They do need to rework that, but with the new campus, you don't even need to worry about that anymore. So honestly, that's a plus for me. Same with the whole Da Vinci quest. I hated that quest because sometimes some people would be AFK. They're not actively playing the game, and then they need to all like guess it at the same time. And then you have those few people that aren't actively playing and end up messing that whole entire thing up. Like, that's so annoying. I hated that quest so badly. I think people hate on this game too much. Sure, sometimes people make choices that are undoubtedly crappy, but I also think there's room for improvement, and I still have hope for this game. People are always focused on the negatives of it, but never what we can do for ourselves to make it more fun while we're waiting on things. I've already talked about how I feel about the game and how it's really not a good thing to dwell on the negatives. Like, I can sit up here and complain about all the things I don't like about Royal High until I'm blue in the face, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's just a game. The world keeps spinning, life keeps going on. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Trading Hub is not the beginning of Royal High's downfall. It does make things a bit pricier, but some items are much cheaper cheaper than the OG pricing, such as like the SFB heel and off-sale Robux dollar items that you can get. Norse Campus 3, the graphic quality and the design of it are amazing, such as Divinia Park, or similar to Divinia Park. I think the downfall of Royal High started when they started to release super expensive sets when I joined the game. I don't know, I feel like, in my opinion, Royal High really started to degrade for me personally when the prices increased tremendously. Like, some of the items are so expensive diamond wise, and I'm agreeing with the comments saying that there's certain sets that are now being more expensive, especially now the inclusion of toy sets, which means you got to go out of your way to go buy the said doll to get the code or whatever to get the set in game, which is very annoying. And some of the dolls for me personally are ugly. I think if I was like 10 years old, like, I would have been over the moon with the toys, but I genuinely think the toys, in my opinion, are ugly. I don't think the Valkyrie doll, for example, or the Posey doll are ugly. I'm talking about those small collectible toys are ugly to me. I always have a gripe with this. Like, it makes me mad every time I think about it, because it's just like, this is a game, and this is a children's game. This is a game geared towards children, younger audience. Why are the diamond sets so expensive? Why are the shoes? Generally, the ones that I want to get out of the entire set are the shoes, are the most expensive ones to collect and get. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't understand why that is. It makes me mad, but I just don't talk about it anymore, because it just, every time I bring it up, my blood literally boils. Like, moving on. Wings are so cute. Actually, I feel like I'm neutral about this. I don't think they're bad. I think there's some wings that are cute. I stopped using them in my designs personally. I do have a good amount of wings, but I don't think, you know, they're okay. I feel like you either love them or you hate them. I don't really like the outfits that have so many accessories on. I get some people like that aesthetic, which is why this is the first time I've ever mentioned this, LOL, but I just don't get it. Personally, I hate when people make whole rooms outside their dorm. Like, some decor to spruce up the entryway is okay, but I'm so sick of just walking down the hall to find a free dorm just to get stuck in a wall that hadn't loaded. Yeah, nah, I personally don't like that. I really miss the original Campus 3 dorms. It felt less liminal, and players didn't feel the need to fill the void that is the long, empty, and frankly boring as heck hallway. Give us our mermaid spa back. And these are all the Reddit posts I'm going to read for right now. Obviously, I want to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions, or your unpopular opinions on the game, because I feel like a lot of these aren't unpopular. I feel like a lot of people can agree on some of these. Like, I do feel like the amount of accessories on your character are excessive. Same with the dorms. Like, it's just too much. And then there's some things I've never really heard of, like the Cherry Blossom set. Like, I knew it was a controversial set, but I never knew that people actually liked it despite it being inaccurate. But despite all of that, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you guys let me know down below your unpopular opinions, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye, everyone.